Okay, so we finally have the build running. Um, it was the transition was rough. There was a lot of deaths on maps, just trying to get defenses up and trying to figure out how to really make it work. And so I just want to show you guys what I have decided on so far for how the build works. Um, I'm just going to start off with a map, just so you can see how it plays. I'm just doing, like, this is the very beginning of the maps for this build. There hasn't been a lot of investment into it, so we're just doing low tier maps for now.
Freezing strike! Lightning!
Okay, so the build is quite simple. All we've really done is grabbed crit, we're grabbing elemental, and we're grabbing some attack damage. We might drop this attack damage in the future for more points that we'll just spend into scaling elemental damage as a whole. The reason we want to do elemental damage instead of attack damage is because we want to apply damage to our spells as well. And if we do the elemental damage, it'll apply to our spells as well as our auto attacks, or sort of, I guess, strike skills, so like Ice Strike or Tempest Flurry. And so once we spec out of these nodes here, it'll just free us up to get more elemental damage nodes. Maybe we'll path over here and grab all of these. Maybe we'll grab some other elemental damage on the tree. For now, just the next where the tree is right now, we're just going to get these nodes because we are igniting and shocking and chilling often. and we're going to get this because we have spec'd to crit, so this will be a nice amount of or a nice amount of increased damage as well. The tree, for the tree defensively, we've gone hybrid, energy shield and evasion. We've taken advantage of this node to get as much spirit as we can. We're shooting at 202 spirit on. This is the same chest piece I was using on my other invoker monk. Just reusing it here until we get something better. That's really it for the tree. We're grabbing all this increased energy stuff for the meta skills, increased energy here. This is a nice bit of damage increase as well. There's lots of conditional damage increases from all the ailments and the triggering of the spells. So we're going to get this one as well. So all this will boost just the spell damage and won't actually have effect on the ice strike. So that's why I haven't grabbed it for now. But as I level up, so we're only level 70 so far. As we level up, we'll grab these as well, and we'll come here and grab this as well. So this will be a nice chunk of spell damage increase here. And we might, we want to do more shock, basically, instead of this ice strike. The whole element, so the elements have to be balanced against each other. There has to be some sort of chill and freeze and shock and ignite. And so at the end, that'll probably change a lot from where it is right now, because I've been playing around with some spells, and depending on which spells feel best, your sources of where that cold damage and lightning damage and ignite is coming from has to change around constantly, right? Like, so for now, lightning warp feels good. Solar orb feels good as well, and ice strike also feels good. So these three things together feel very good to play, and the reason it works is because lightning warp will teleport you to a random spot, basically, and then ice strike will redirect you to the place where you want to be. Ice strike is your source of chill and freeze, and then you're getting your lightning damage from charge staff over here, and then we're getting ignite from here as well, and we're also getting shock from here. Now when I say we're getting shock here and we're getting shock here, these are really two different shocks as far as cast skills are concerned, because there is a little mention right here where energy cannot be gained from direct effects of triggered skills. So lightning warp can't give you the energy for the cast on shock. The cast on the shocks have to come from charged staff or some other non-triggered shock source, which in this case is just charged staff. So for that reason, we can't rely on the shock for the energy on cast on shock here, but we can rely on the shock for this node and for having just shocked the mobs. So yeah, that's where that is. And as I change spells, it all sort of has to recycle and everything moves around. And yeah, anytime I want to try a new skill, everything sort of has to change and rotate, basically. So we're running solar orb because it says it ignites, so I'm assuming it's 100% ignite chance. As soon as it is on the ground, I'm basically getting this 30% increased damage over here, which is nice. So that covers all three ailments right now. And for future plans, what we're going to basically do is probably get Unbound Avatar, just because we are triggering all three ailments and without any real issue at the moment. Sure, we have some mana problems, but once to upgrade the 2 jewels we have on the tree, these 1% to 2% each, and then get a 2% one here as well, and sort of fix some of this mana stuff that I've probably not I'm probably not being as optimal as I should be with these. And we can throw in an inspiration as well somewhere to help. That should help out with the mana. We'll see how it goes, right? We have like 15 or 20 more levels of skill points to allocate. We might even path over here, grab. So all this will be more in damage. It doesn't seem like our damage is gonna suffer too much. It seems okay for now, at least. But we'll see how things change. And I'll show quickly the gems we're using. So, using Ghost Dance for defense. We have Fast Forward for the less skill effect duration. And so what this really means is that time between Ghost Rounds, we're shrinking that to be as short as possible. So see here it says 3.35 seconds, and here it's 2.35, and the difference is this gem. So that's why we use this. Clarity, solving mana. Perfusion, we're using to gain extra charges if possible for Combat Frenzy, which we're running with Resonance, and that's all being worked by Ice Strike basically. So Mana Remnants is something that we will probably include once there's enough spirit to go around, and hopefully this will be great. The annoying thing about this is you can't spawn a remnant on critical hit more than once every 2 seconds. So essentially, as it stands right now, this is 170 divided by 2 mana per second. If we're actually getting it often, which we should be able to, but yeah, we probably just need the spirit to get this running. So moving on, Ice Strike. This is the ability we start every map off with, and it's the one we use the most often. So we're just doing more attack speed, more weapon elemental damage, and more cold damage because we are freezing very often. Tempest Bell, it's the monk. You face an enemy that doesn't immediately die. You just throw down Tempest Bell. It dies that much faster. These are just random whatever thrown on there. Overabundance is the only one that's actually useful. Rage was just whatever thrown in because I was using an Ice Strike before, and then I swapped it with Ice Bite. Charge Staff is our source of shock that isn't a triggered shock. So we just have shock stuff. So this is the spread shock, higher chance of shock, and then getting energy shield back when this kills a shocked enemy. Sniper's Mark, it's for bosses. It's a way of getting power charges basically. And then for cast on freeze, we have Lightning Warp with considered casting. So this is just 40% more damage with spell hits. The 15% less cast speed doesn't actually make a difference to cast on freeze or the actual Lightning Warp. So just sort of like, I guess, a recap, the energy needed for the cast on freeze of Lightning Warp comes from the base skill's cast time. So in this case 0.5 seconds. Now this doesn't change that base cast time, so the energy stays at 50, or the maximum energy needed, right? Like look, this won't change here. It's 50, it's 50, right? And then for the spell itself, it also doesn't change anything. Okay, actually, it makes a difference in cast time, but it's casted on the shock, so it doesn't really make a difference to us. But we do get that 40% more damage with spell hits at basically no downside. So that's why I've thrown that in there. I might be wrong. Maybe the 0.48 to 0.41 makes a difference, but in terms of energy at least, and from the gameplay, it doesn't seem to make any difference at all. And then we're just using this to get more energy, right? It's whatever. You can move this off to this if you wanted to, or whatever other skill you wanted to use. I just have it here. It just feels better to be constantly moving. The Solar Orb, we don't really need the Solar Orb to be cast as often, which is why I've left it here, and without, it doesn't have impetus for that reason. most of the time we don't need the extra damage we're gonna get from the ignite. We do enough damage anyways. Now if something is tough enough where we need that extra damage, then I'll hit enough shocks to trigger cast on shock to get the solar orb down to do the ignite so that I can get that extra amount of damage in. This used to be ball lightning, which is why this is here, and I've just left this in here because my inventory is just filling up of old skill gems that I've been sort of throwing on and trying out. So that's it for the gear, for the the gems. For gear, it's it's pretty simple. We've left all these sockets empty. I don't like how when I want to put something in, I can't take it back out. So for now, I'm just sort of, I guess, waiting until I run into some sort of barrier that I have to absolutely take these into consideration and use them. But for now, the build's doing fine, so I'm not gonna fill in any of these sockets. So for the gear, it's just life, res, and mana where possible, and attributes as well, because one of the problems with the build is that it requires intelligence for the spells and dex for the strike skills. So because of that, we're sitting at 122 dex and 135 intelligence, and that's it for the gems we're at right now. If we wanted to go to higher gems, we need more intelligence and more dexterity. And so a lot of that, the gear requirements are filled by the gear. So we got 29 strength here, and that's for these gloves, because I found them very cheap and they had a lot of what I wanted. I'm not sure how helpful that leech for fizz damage on mana is, because I don't think we're doing a lot of physical damage. It's really just Ice Strike, and Ice Strike is converting most of that away. But we have it. It basically was a freebie. I really just cared about the life, mana, and the fire res. The cold damage to attacks, that's also very nice, because remember, we don't have a lot of raw damage to work with. So it's just a nice addition. I think we also have something similar on our ring here, so we got a nice little bit of fire damage here. And we've got in rarity where we could. So ultimately we're sitting at, I think, 100, how much rarity? About 120, I think. Let's see, I think this tells you, yep, okay, so 120 rarity is what we're sitting at. We've got 50 here, and then about 20 on each of the rings. And about 20 here as well. So yeah, that's really it for the year, and I'll just go through it slowly again. So got the staff, the helmet, chest piece, the left string, the right ring, the amulet, the boots, the belt, the gloves. This is for chaos because we have no chaos res. And then our flasks are just whatever at this point. The next steps for this build is basically level up as much as possible and figure out what to do with the skill points in a way that makes this build stronger. I think the real jump in strength for the build will come when we get Unbound Avatar. So we'll have we're gonna get I'm the Thunder, so we're gonna have Shocked Ground, which will be great for cast on shock, and then we'll get Unbound Avatar, which will be once again great. And then so after that is done, once we have Unbound Avatar, we can make use of the skill effect duration here, probably, to increase the duration of that. Yeah, we'll grab that one. And then we another thing that we could do is go into projectiles here, so spell projectiles, and then we could make use of this. So 18% chance here for 2 additional projectiles, and then we've got in another, I think is 40% here altogether for 2 additional projectiles. So that'd probably be a nice source of damage as well. We can use that with ball lightning or frostbolt or fireball. We'll have to play and wait and see until we actually get the skill points so we can play around with it. We're also planning on getting this spell damage here. A nice amount of spell damage here. Finish out grabbing all these nodes that I'm still missing. Fill out this. These two here. Fill this out. Maybe we'll make our way over here and grab all of this. Or maybe there's something better to do. Maybe we'll grab spell crit chance or just spell damage from the tree. Maybe we'll do maybe we'll get more shock or magnify or more magnitude of our shocks that we inflict, and we'll just change into, I forgot what the spell is called. Maybe I have it here. Lightning Conduit, which is just more damage with hits per 5% shock effect on enemy. So maybe we'll do that, or maybe we'll just go heavy into mana and we'll get Mana Flare. I think Mana Flare is fire damage according to 20% of your current mana, which counts as spell damage as well. So I think on every hit, then every critical hit, which is, you know, that sounds cool, but then my mana is going to be gone, and well, that'll be just a whole nother problem. So maybe we won't do that. But yeah, that's it for the build for now. In 20 levels, I'll probably post something new, or whenever there's a significant change or something happens, or we get ascendancy points, I'll post an update. All in, we're not that far. Like, these were all very cheap. None of this is very expensive right now. I'd say maybe 2 divines, everything all together. This is, I think, 1 divine, which I bought a while ago, or we got from Ritual a while ago, and then I think the rest of all this is 1 divine, maybe. I don't know. This is just pieced together with like 10 exalts at a time, and then this was from the other monk, right? So yeah, that's where the build stands, and we are max resistances, and chaos is 0, of course. You know, I don't want to think about that right now. We're just doing white maps until we, I don't know, we can't progress in white maps anymore. We need to go up or something. I'm assuming the build will play better in higher density maps because we can do more cast on freeze and cast on shock. But yeah, that's all I really have right now for this one. Yeah, so I'll see you guys soon when there's updates.